If you're new to MuleSoft or switching from Anypoint Studio, Anypoint Code Builder might feel like a big shift. In this video, I'll walk you through everything you need to get started with ACB locally in VS Code. From installing the right tools to building your first Hello World integration and finally deploying it to Cloud Hub. I'll show you how to avoid common setup mistakes, explain how the ACB extension works inside VS Code, and help you get everything running smoothly. So first of all, of course, we have to get started with the installation instructions. First, we have to install Git. You can simply come to this link right here and download it for your operating system. Then go ahead and go to the Visual Studio Code website and download again for whatever your operating system is. Once you have those two, and only when you have those two, make sure that you're also on the latest version of VS Code. If you're not, feel free to uninstall and reinstall. Only then come here and look. First, go to the extension tab, then look for Anypoint extension pack. Install this whole thing. Do not install one by one. If you already installed one by one, go ahead and remove them all, first of all. Then quit your VS Code. If you need to install Git before doing this whole thing, go ahead and do that. Only when you have everything set up, come here and do the Anypoint extension pack. It's very important that you restart VS Code. If you already installed some of these and you uninstall them, you do need to restart VS Code. You cannot just uninstall them and try to reinstall the whole extension. You have to quit. Once everything is installed, you can go ahead and get used to using the command palette. So in Mac is going to be Shift Command P. In Windows is going to be Shift Control P. So try pressing those. This is pretty much your best friend. So everything here, you can search for MuleSoft, you can search for Data Weave, you can search for a lot of things. So this comes from the extensions that you have, or they will come from whatever is already installed in VS Code. Try to do something simple, like looking for preferences color theme. You can either press enter or you can click on it, and it will open all of the options that you have for the themes. So you can move either with your mouse or you can move with your keyboard. So try just to find a cool theme that you like. Some of these I had to install. So for example, if you want something Halloween, you can literally search for Halloween. I already have one installed, but you can just click on browse additional color themes. This will search for the themes and show you the options. So you can come here and select any other one that you want. So do that. Find a theme that you really like. It can be light or it can be dark. In my case, I already have a MuleSoft community theme. Whoops, I removed everything. So let me just go back and select my MuleSoft community theme. And here's that. So you can do something like that. Find the theme, and this is your first task of the day. Once you have that, the second thing I want you to notice, as opposed to Studio, in Studio you can just import a project or open a folder or something like that. Here in VS Code, you can just open a folder, clone a repo, or create a Java project. So you will only use this if you are either gonna open a folder or clone a repo. But if you were to create a new project with MuleSoft, you would have to go here to the MuleSoft tab, which is your Anypoint Code Builder. And you only have these three quick actions: to design an API, implement an API, or develop an integration. Another common mistake is that I don't believe there is a way to import a .jar just yet to ACB. You do have to have a folder open. So if you come here and click on open folder, you will only be able to select, for example, if I go here, I have this project. So if you go to the root of the project, I believe this is my root. Yes, this is my root. So if you go to the root of the project where you have the source folder, the POM, and the Mule artifact, only then you can click on open. Otherwise, you are not able to import a jar. You can only open a folder. Also note that opening a folder comes from this tab, the Explorer tab, which is already in VS Code. This is not in Anypoint Code Builder. What you can do from Anypoint Code Builder is, again, you do one of the quick actions. There's also the help and the tutorials. So if you want to just go and follow the tutorials, that would be my recommendation. But I'm gonna go ahead and set you up with whatever you need for these videos. Now, another cool thing about VS Code in general, this is not ACB, is that you can install any extension that you want from the marketplace. For example, if you want like some Docker stuff, you can choose it and install it. If you want some Kubernetes, I don't know if there's something. Yeah, there's something. So you can like go there, see how this works and install it. This comes from Microsoft. You can also install Postman, for example. It already has another extension and so on. Like, you can search for extensions that you need, something that will help you, I don't know, for writing Markdown, for writing XML, and so on. This doesn't have anything to do with MuleSoft, but these are very nice when you have to do something. For example, I have here my database. If I am running a MySQL database, I can use this extension to see it. I have also the containers. If I am running like Docker containers, I will be able to see them there. I have my Postman, so I can run all of my Postman stuff. I also have a GitHub Actions extension. I have a Kafka extension. I have a Solus extension. Like, you can do a lot of things with the extensions. Again, that's just a VS Code thing. That's not ACB in particular, but this is pretty neat. Now, going back to ACB, again, if you click on the Mule button right here, oh, you can also move your extensions. Like if you want to move them, I don't know, if you want to put Solus here on top, you can put it on top, or you can move it down and so on, which is very convenient to personalize your own workspace. Anyway, you're here in Anypoint Code Builder. You can click here on the settings, and this will open these settings specifically for ACB. So you have, for example, the auto completion, you have trigger delay. I use this one a lot. So if you click here on edit defaults through command palette, this is just so every time that you create a new project, what are the default versions that will be selected by default? In my case, I always have the latest, but you can change it to whatever values you need. You can also set a group ID that you want to always use when you create a new Mule project. I normally don't like just use the default and so on. Like you have a lot of different, if you were to add VM arguments, you would add them here kind of like this. So -m-d and then add your stuff. So for example, if you were to add an encryption, -m-d secure key, for example, equals 1234. And you can do this to pass this onto the runtime. You can also select the control plane, the home directory. This is where several stuff will be added, like the Mule runtime or the Java version. You do not have to download Java for this one. ACB will do it for you. And in the future, ACB will also download Git for you, so you don't have to install it yourself. So if you're watching this from the future and you don't need to install Git because a new version already includes it, awesome. You can check in the comments below. I'm gonna keep adding comments in case this was already updated, just so you know. All right, cool. That's all for the settings. Then, if you come here to this part, it says not logged in to Anypoint Platform, or you can also come here to this profile icon and select right here, signing with Anypoint Platform. I normally choose this one. So you can do that if you want to sign in. For now, I'm not gonna sign in. I'm gonna show it in the future in like a little bit, but it's there if you know. And there's also GitHub Copilot if you really feel like you want to use it. I don't normally use it, but you are free to do so if you are on VS Code. Another cool thing about VS Code is that you have this source control tab right here. So once you already have a folder, I don't have anything just yet, you will be able to see here to initialize a repo, to push the repo, or you can also see the regular stuff like pulling and pushing and committing and cherry picking and so on. So you can do it all from the UI, which is really cool. No more Git commands in terminal for you. So let's work on very basic code. Let's do a hello world. In your ACB tab, go ahead and click on Develop an Integration. Remember, I was telling you that there are 3 different things to do. Design an API is when you want to start designing the RAML or the OAS specification, only that. The Implement an API is when you already have a RAML or an OAS specification. This is asking me to sign in because it's gonna go to my Exchange to retrieve the specification and then implement it here. So for example, here we can see search an API specification. This can be an async API, a RAML API, an OAS API, you can choose. And finally, the develop an integration is pretty much just gonna create an empty project or get a template or example project from Exchange. In our case, we're gonna be creating an empty project. This is just gonna be a hello world. So let's go ahead and name it Hello World, select your project location. In my case, I'm just gonna add it in downloads. Select your Mule runtime. This is what I told you about selecting the default values. By default, I already have the latest, but if you were to select any other, you can also select any other value, doesn't matter. And also you can see here, downloads upon project creation. Because I don't already have this runtime in my machine, this will download it automatically for me. So I don't have to go and click download every time that I need it. For the Java version, I only have the 17 right now, but if I were to change my Mule runtime, I would be able to select the Java version 11. So let's create it on the latest version and click on Create Project. Once it creates a project, this is how you will see it. You can adjust all of the windows if you need. You can hide some of them. For example, here I can just hide the code version. It will reopen if I click here on this button. Or I can also close the UI version and it will reopen if I click here on this button. We also have the agent force, but we're not gonna see that for now. Another thing that I've seen a lot is that you can choose what to show here. So for example, if I select all of these, this is how this looks like now. So I have my hello world, I have open editors, I have outline, I have like a lot of different things, Java projects, Maven, and so on. So you can choose to just ignore those. You can just click on, like, for example, data with dependencies and so on. You can either right click on it and start unchecking stuff, or you can come here and click on this. I've seen a lot of people have the open editors one. This is just showing you what tabs you have open right now. I don't normally use any of those except for the folders one. So you can go ahead and uncheck any of these that you are not really using. Like this, for example, I just have the folders open, so I don't have anything here now. You can also show or hide these by clicking on this button or by clicking on this other button right here. You can show or hide. Same for this. If you click here, you can show or hide your terminal, which is here at the bottom. Like I can hide this, I can hide this. Or if we click here, this will show the Copilot bar. I normally work like this, so you can do that. You can also use Control minus, Control plus, or Command minus and Command plus if you want to make your windows smaller or bigger. Right now I have it super big for you all to see my video, or you can also like make it really small so you can have more space to see everything together. We also have some buttons here at the top. We have the add, so you can start adding some flow structures, like flows of flow and error handlers. Or here we have the flow list where you will be able to see the different flows that you have, because ACB only shows one flow at a time. Unfortunately, I know a lot of you like to see all of the flows at the same time, like in Studio, but for now, this is showing just one flow at a time. So let's get started by building the flow. You can either come here and write it down, or you can just click on the UI. In my case, I'm gonna select build a flow. Now what this does is creates the flow with a name, and that's pretty much it. And then let me like put this down so we can just see this. Then let's go ahead and click on plus. This is your new Mule palette. So every time that you want to add something, instead of looking it in the Mule palette like you did in Studio, drag and dropping it, you just have here this plus. So you can select this plus and select whatever you want. You have here all of the components that you already have installed. Or if you want to go to Exchange, you can also get the connectors from Exchange that you don't already have installed in your local. Here are some examples. For now, let's just keep it local. I'm going to go ahead and go to connectors, HTTP listener, or you can also just look for it. So listener, either look for the listener or look for HTTP. And once you search for HTTP, you have this, or you have some built-in snippets if you already want to use something that is there. Another cool thing to notice is that here it's showing you the versions that it has. This version is already compatible with the runtime that you have and the Java that you have. So in my case, it would be runtime 4.9.5 and Java 17. So this version is compatible with those two. So you can go ahead and just click on listener here. If you wanted to double check that that is the version, you can also come here to your XML, right click on it and select project properties. You can also see that there are other stuff here like export to Mule deployable jar, export shareable jar, publish, and so on. So let's select project properties. Now this is what it opens. Let me close this or maybe make it smaller a little bit. We have the Mule runtime. Here you can change the Mule runtime if you want, as well as the Java version. And here we have the connectors. So I already installed the HTTP listener because I selected it from the, I don't want to say Mule palette, but like from that. And here you can see the versions. So if you want to make sure that you are on the latest version, you can just come here and check it. And you can also see the ones that are incompatible with the current versions that you have. So for now, we're good. Let's close it and come back here. Let's select the listener. And now we have our global configurations here at the top. So I don't have anything now. So let's just click on add here. This opens a new window where I can put my listener config. It's already has like some values. I'm just gonna go ahead and add the host and the port, and I can just add that. I know you will want to add the properties to that. Don't do it yet. We're just getting started to understand how ACB works, okay? Then let's do here the hello path. So this is how it looks like if you wanted to change this. Let's do, I don't know, /hello, for example. Press on enter. Make sure you press on enter or you click on this to save it. So now this is my new name. I can also change the name of the flow from here or from here, whatever you prefer. I can just come here and say flow 1, for example, press enter, and this will save the change. Right now it's giving me an error because I don't have anything. Like you can see from here, the content of element flow is not complete. You need more stuff. The other thing you can do is click on the thing here at the bottom. You can see the problems here. And you can see the content of element flow, blah, blah, blah. We also have the POM XML, but for now, this is the only thing that we care about. Another thing you can do is go here to output and take a look at the different logs that are coming from there. So we have Mule Design Service, Mule DX Data with Language Server, Mule DX Server, Mule Language Server, and so on. So you can check some of the logs that are happening there. But for now, you can just leave these problems tab open. And we can see that we need to complete the flow. So let's go ahead and add a transform message. This one, let's select that one. And now we don't have any more problems. So we have everything completed. We don't see any red lines here. So we can come here. We're going to do an inline script. For now, I'm going to minimize this. And let's just do an output of text plain. Whoops. Text plain, and let's just do literally hello world. So you can do that. This is an inline script. You can also put a DWA file and so on. But again, let's just go one by one. And here's where you can add variables and attributes, but let's just leave it like that. You can also take a look at the input and output to see what is happening there. And finally, let's add a logger just to have it present. All right, we're pretty much done. We can also log the payload. So let's select FX here. Let me make this smaller. Once you press here, you can click on this beautiful button here to see the expression builder. And for example, let's select payload. If you had any variables, you would see them here. So for now, let's just leave payload. And you can also see the functions and a lot of different stuff. Preview, which is really cool. Anyway, let's just stick to the basics. You have the payload. This is going to be on level info, and that's pretty much it. Another thing that I really like to do to keep my the XML ready is, again, open your command palette, Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P, and select Format Document. Now, make sure you are on this file right here. I'm going to save this. Command-Save or Control-Save. You see the circle that was here was changed. So if I do Command-Shift-P and I select Format Document, this will get rearranged so it looks way better. Again, we see the circle right here. That means that this is not saved. So make sure you press on Save, Command-S, Control-S, whatever. And this is it. Awesome. So we have our beautiful application. This is our global configuration. We can close this. If you wanted to open it again, this is the global configuration. You can also click here on test connection, or you can right click on it and select configure component in UI. You will see it being open again. Cool. So we're done. Now let's head to this run and debug tab from VS Code. And we already have here, or we already should have, a debug Mule application. If you don't have it, you can just click on this open launch.json. This will open this file. I'm gonna close the rest. And this is how this should look like. So you can run this in your VS Code. So, all right, let's now press on run or start debugging. All right, we can see in the logs here that this was deployed. We are in the terminal part. Again, you can go to problems. These are not really problems. You can go to output, so you can see the Mule Maven output, for example, and so on. You can check some of the rest if you want. So this is done. I can also press here. This won't close the terminal. This will just hide the panel. So it's the same thing as just clicking this button here. And I am going to use this extension called postcode to create a very simple request, kind of like Postman, but with Postman you have to log in and I don't want to. So we're doing localhost 8081 hello. Let me zoom in a little bit and let's press send. And there we have it. We have a hello world coming back, which is exactly what we wanted. Now, how do you actually debug this thing? So if you see, there are some stuff like variables watch, call stack, and breakpoints. Again, you can close these things if you don't want to see them, or just minimize them, or whatever you feel like. If we go back to our flow, let me make this smaller. We can either use this, for example, if I right click here, I can add a breakpoint and this will automatically add it in my XML, or remove breakpoint. I can just go here in my XML and add it directly and it will add it in both parts. So you can do that. So if I come here, I'm already debugging. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to close and reopen. I can just come here to postcode, resend this, and this will now be here in my breakpoint. And as you can see here from breakpoints, I have that. I have my call stack. I don't have any watches. I can add a watch, for example, let's say payload. So I can see here what is the value. I don't have anything right now because nothing is here. Or we can also see the Mule message. Attributes, we can see some stuff like the listener path, the raw request. Let me make this smaller. Relative path, method, scheme, and so on. So we have all the attributes. Here we can also see the payload. There is nothing. And we can use, for example, let's do step into. So now we went to the logger. We can open again the watch. And now we can see the value hello world. Or we can also see it from here, value hello world. We can see the media type, which is text plain. And we can just press on continue. So it exits and returns, well, a timeout, but we can just like do this and it will return it immediately. Or we can go here to breakpoints and like hide it for a little bit. Again, send it and it will immediately be returned. And you can just like show it again and it will be again there. Cool. So that is how you deploy your applications and how you can try it out locally without ever leaving VS Code. After this, the next step would be to deploy. I'm not going to deploy in this video because you have to log in and do more stuff. And I'm trying to keep the video simpler, but we will see that in future videos. Pretty much you use this button here, you have to log in, and then you continue the rest of the flow. All right. You've got Anypoint Code Builder up and running locally in VS Code, and you've built your first Hello World integration. In the next video, we'll go one step further and expose a proper REST API using API specifications and flow logic. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more weekly MuleSoft tutorials, and drop any questions in the comments. I always read them. Plus, if you get stuck, I've got ACB office hours you can book now. The link is in the description of the video, so I will see you in the next video. Bye!